The following podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Any unauthorized distribution, presentation, or duplication may result in civil liability, criminal prosecution, and the wrath of the tall man. And I've just concluded Night 2 of C2E2 2024. Not very gimmicky today, I suppose, with, Alien Day only is one day, 4/2/6. So, today, it was not a very heavy panel day for myself. I came in for the Rick and Morty cast, and they were a lot of fun, and, I picked up on a lot of stuff I didn't really have a clue upon. I'm behind on the show. I didn't realize they had gotten to season 7, maybe season 6, but I digress. But a lot of fun there to be had. You got, you get to know that everybody's a theater kid, they were suggesting ideas for possible future episodes, and a mid-Morty summer night dream, I guess. So, hearing our cast go and deliver some Shakespeare in the voice of Summer and Morty was kind of fun. You get to find a little bit about their backgrounds. They didn't really talk too much about Chris Parnell. He's probably the most professional of the crew. Definitely the eldest. All we really know is that Don't Be a Jerry is something he... Sorry, I had to adjust the... This is why it's a bonus episode. I had to adjust my bed linen. They finally serviced the room, but yeah, these fitted sheets aren't too tight. I can't, I've been to the Hilton Garden Inn a few times. I think at least thrice. They got a nice little canteen area, which with the other hotels just don't offer, which is ridiculous. I did work for Hilton for a year. This is a kind of location I'd love to work at, because you definitely have the support staff there instead of, getting told that, hey, fix this. I'm doing my best. I'm doing all I can. But you're the manager. Hey, I'm not getting paid to that much money. Don't provide me that title. So, they did a good job when I left my key in the room accidentally of making sure I was me without an ID. Fortunately, I had my wallet on me, so I had a credit card. And you find, that's been the hotel stay so far. It took them 2 days to service the room after request. And now we're smothered in towels, it seems like. The ThePoeticCritic's in the shower right now. She might be able to provide some feedback, but I don't know. But it's funny with Rick and Morty, and Parnell says, don't be a Jerry. And it's funny because Parnell says he tries to make his characters sound different than him, but he's going to be equated with the ultimate beta male when you think of Jerry and Cyril on Archer. So, hey, at least we got the F-bombs out of the way early with this panel. I think there was only maybe a couple, both by Spencer Grammer, which I did not realize was the daughter of Kelsey Grammer. Interesting. And I didn't know about her knife fight story. It wasn't a fight. It was a scary stabbing incident in 2020. But, Parnell said, and you had to step away from that field as a side hustle. It's good that she's learned how to play guitar to make sure she's got her dexterity present. So, hey, another day of triumphant stories after Jason Mewes and his sobriety. It's actually kind of funny because Spencer pretty much said, oh yeah, I love the PTSD. So, the entire series, I guess, is kind of based around coping, using, and enjoying post-traumatic stress syndrome. So that's an interesting way of looking at Rick and Morty. Good way to sell it, I think, to people, honestly. Besides for it's obviously Marty and Doc Brown being parodied. But I didn't realize that I'm so, I think I got through the 4th season, for Poopy Butthole to say, hey, sorry it took so long. See ya, maybe next year or a few. So it was interesting to find out they're on season 7 and everything I've missed. I've missed the efforts to make a beaten up prime Rick sound damaged, choking on blood by using gauze, honey, and fruit snacks. He kept that script, the actor, and I should try to find it. His name. I think that's only fair. Don't want to be a total asshole. We'll get to that today. Series 8 premiere 2025. Okay. So, looking over the cast. It's kind of weird. Because it's obviously not Justin Roiland anymore. I think there's a falling out with Dan Harmon over all of that. Rick is now played by Ian Cardani, and Morty is played by Harry Belden. They were pretty cool. Everybody talked about their theater experience, hence the idea for Shakespearean planet in the future. Just hearing Summer say, "Doth protest too much." And speaking of the PTSD, we got to make jokes about somebody sending in a question about first commenting on how nice Spencer's cowboy boots were, but it's obviously, why are you looking at the shoes? What's going on? But that led to them considering a Red Dead Redemption themed planet, so that seems like a lot of fun. Maybe Jerry could be a horse. The only issues with the panel really was the focus was off on the big camera on Ian Cardoni, like just him, very weird. And then I would say I don't know. It's a blessing and a curse. The QR code questions. Basically, I think lets the host pick the questions beforehand, but at least you get to ask them. Just very weird seeing C2E2 presented by C4 Energy, and tried the energy drink. Lots of free samples being given around, and it's not bad. It's definitely not Nas. Kind of. I think I just have a bang, I guess, with the sugar-free type flavor to it, but it's not bad. It's not a monster. Fudge that. Then I stuck around for the Hannibal reunion with Mads Mikkelsen and Hugh Dancy. I was there really just for the actors, but man, they sell that show. And how they really, really feel attached to it, because they did it for 3 seasons, and unlike a movie where you're there for 2 months, they're there for 3 years. So, and a lot of praise for the showrunner Brian Fuller, because he said, hey, I need a 15-minute meeting, and he could stretch those out to 3 hours, and envisioned 8 seasons. I guess the biggest flaw with that, and back to the QR codes, at least now the aisles are clear, so everybody can actually see the stage without people clogging up for questions. So that's good. The big issue was "Ladies and Gentlemen" by Saliva was the entrance music they used for the cast. And salivating in Hannibal, I suppose, but come on. But you get other things like just the inner workings of why the show would be so interesting, the fun of trying to find out how graphic you could actually get on CBS, and how Hannibal, his living in the present, allows him to be possible of doing anything without motivation, while Hugh Dancy as Will Graham had to... While Will Graham had to be... have to learn how to become that. But, basically, as he said, we want to end this episode with you vomiting an ear. So, Hugh Dancy has to come up with his motivation to end up being a place where he could vomit an ear. So interesting inside actor studio stuff. Not a lot of love for Chicago food because obviously Hannibal wouldn't eat that stuff. Well, I suppose you could eat anything with sausage in it. You just don't want to ask how the sausage is made, of course. But a funny story about Lawrence Fishburne being a foodie, so hence he would screw up takes just so he can keep eating frog gras. I think I said it better than Mads did, but who knows. And you also learned that there are 3 different kinds of fake blood, all honey and sugar based, so shooting this summer is a bitch. But yeah, the makeup department has their own fake blood, costume has their own fake blood, special effects has their own fake blood, and of course there's competition who has the best fake blood. We're going to do a Sipple and Ollie song. I guess I would say there's too many I love you shouts from the crowd. I guess, well, you're not going to get on the mic, so I can't blame them now in hindsight. But other inside baseball things like how knowing you're going to be in this gory situation kind of makes you enjoy it, while obviously it's going to creep out the audience. And then you get little theories about Will Graham probably being autistic. I've seen Red Dragon, I've seen I own Manhunter, so I've seen the other 2 performers, William Peterson and Ed Norton, and yeah, I really need to get around. I have Paramount Plus, there's no excuse now. Just time, of course, and I've got at least 2 seasons of Rick and Morty to catch up on. There were some fun questions, like who was the best guest star, and I guess none of them got to work with him on the show, but they really showed a lot of love for Lance Henriksen, so stone cold, baby. And another question was, what's the question you never get asked at panels and wonder why not? And that was Mads answered it. Nobody ever asked how much money we make on the show. And no, he's not encouraging that. He's just curious why it's never happened. So then I skipped out. There was a new comic label, indie label, that had something I was kind of curious about. And ThePoeticCritic was on a Svengoolie autograph hunt for her boyfriend's dad while he was at the Christopher Lloyd panel. And I've seen Christopher Lloyd a couple of times, and this is a guy I think who needs direction, dare I say. He's an 84-year-old man, give or take. So it's kind of like, he really does come across, and I think it was, who played RoboCop?
Peter Weller.
Thank you, Rory. Peter Weller, who said, Christopher Walken came up to once and said, "Hey, your friend, Christopher, he's a weird guy." And he's got a lot of Reverend Jim vibe if you don't go and direct him. But he's a brilliant actor. But yeah, I don't see the panel. That was why I kind of skipped the panel, because I've seen it before. Never miss a Danny Trejo, never miss a Michael Rooker. But yeah. So got back to the hotel room, made a few cocktails, and then I went to the after hours. And tonight was Nerdlesque by Fandom Phenoms, I believe it is, a Cleveland-based group. A lot of Chicago-based talent, though. And as I say, don't want to be an asshole earlier. Well, this is where I'm going to be the asshole. And, I stop and really just take the time to think. And, once you get enjoying the show, you can overlook some of the performers, because it's about performance. And, not a lot of fit performers, dare I say. But as a professional wrestler who had his era where I was wrestling in Ric Flair style trunks, maybe a little higher cut or lower cut, skinnier than Flair's. I thought I could make that work with my talent. Inspired by the king of old school, Steve Corino, and how fat he got at one point. But Steve Carino is a 2-time world champion, and I was on the Peoria indie scene. Some great, as I say, it's all about the performance. So, just once you get really comfortable, there was some great acts that were solely based around polls. A great queer couple doing some work. It just looked like, hey, well, at least you get something sexy, even though it's not the kind of sexy I'm into. Or is it? So I'll just go and make my comment. Sell You Heavy kind of turns me off. When you open the show with two of the 4 Mario Kart performers with that, it takes, it's about the performance. You gotta think. And they're doing stuff I can't do. So I shouldn't be an asshole. I should applaud it. I'm just disappointed with all the costume changes our MC had. Heather and Lace. Come on, give us time to take pictures with the Pokemon card dress that your kids bitch about. Do you realize how much those cards were worth? Or she had a Meow outfit at one point. And come on. Probably the best act of the Nerdlesque was a woman who came out pretty much in your I'm gonna say Mass Effect type armor, and that was dancing to Zombie, and that was really impressive. How not only are you just removing gloves, top and bottom, you had to go through every layer of armor, and that was really good. There was a pole dancer, a male, who was I think he was Zeal was his name, and he would did it based around the Purge. And you had your Ratatouille Nerdlesque act, which was good. 2 of the 3 final acts were Pixar based, including a Thunderstruck around Lightning McQueen. So, lots of fun to be had there. And then I stuck around for really, I was honestly just trying to find people to take a shot with for the image to attach to this bonus podcast episode. And so I just ended up going to the cosplay karaoke, which was not a requirement. It's all random generated stuff, so I did not get to go and perform Oasis's Don't Look Back in Anger. Cool little category setups like World Cup, yes please. I was hoping for World in Motion by New Order, or Three Lions, It's Coming Home.
Well, I thought the karaoke had its moments, but at some points it was like that old Saturday Night Live skit with Tom Hanks, classic sing-along with Drunken.
Well, but by this point, the only problem I have with, obviously I smuggled booze in myself, drank it all by the Nerdlesque, so just keeping myself regular by this point. I know, it's very sad when I'm applauding the significance of Jason Mewes' sobriety on the previous bonus episode, and now getting tipsy. Really, I just wanted to get my song so I can go and say, yes, Oasis is a good thing from Liverpool. Liverpool Football Club sucks. Just to get it out there. People need to remember that. So it was just yelling, singing and yelling. As Rory said, drunken sing-along. But beforehand, we thought they came to us and said, we might not be able to fit you guys in. We were the cutoff.
Right.
And so 2 guys from Chicago land, and I, one guy said, let's start it. And dun, 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 dun. Just, so we did our first verse of shouting out our first verse of Don't Stop Believing. So, That was fun. But yeah, by the end, it was really more frustrating that everybody's dancing. It's one thing to sing drunk. It's another thing to dance around drunk. And eventually you just couldn't see the lyrics, and I'm getting scared. What if I get called up and these twats are jumping in front of the projector and I can't see? So, I've got, I hope I can cue up the lyrics to Don't Look Back in Anger by Oasis, which I had pulled up. But hey, Poetic Critic, I'm sorry, the Poetic Critic. What do you think about the song from Has Been Hotel, Loser?
Yeah. It's interesting.
Because at least that came up, and I think everybody was expecting Beck.
Yeah.
And then that comes up, and the cosplayers there were from Has Been Hotel.
Yeah. It's interesting. Well, I've been seeing this weekend when it comes to the cosplay, because it says a lot about how much the pop culture and larger cultural landscape has changed post-pandemic. That, of the newer works that we're getting a lot of representation here, Has Been Hotel was almost overrepresented, I thought. I've not seen the show, and it doesn't sound, it already is coming off as way overhyped.
I don't know. I haven't gotten around to the Loser song yet, and the songs they had were pretty cool in the first couple episodes that I watched. I just had to figure. I just had to figure out the memes.
This is like what's happened with Rick and Morty in the first few years. It seems like they're really pushing it over. The fan base isn't normal about it.
Well, keep in mind, Rick and Morty was a difficult production for the first 3 seasons. We didn't know if we were going to get a season 4. And now they're going to have season 8 in 2025. So I wouldn't say that. I think in the case of Rick and Morty, it was are we going to keep our show? Kind of like Venture Brothers. Mm-hmm. And the fan base was just desperate to do so. Which is, so I kind of admire that with Rick and Morty. Just the subject matter Has Been Hotel. Heaven thinks hell is overpopulated.
But isn't that just the premise of just recycling something like The Good Place again?
Yes, but I didn't watch The Good Place, and it didn't have, maybe if Kirsten, see, there you go. Animated Kirsten Bell, have I seen a Frozen? I'm sorry, after having to sit through that 30-minute Olaf Christmas, where Olaf ends up being Jesus, essentially. You are the meaning of Christmas for us. Josh Gad is the meaning of Christmas. I guess that's kind of a parallel when you think of the Book of Mormon and how it ends up being, the Book of Alfred?
Yeah.
By the end of it, or Albert, whatever his name was. So I think,
but it's interesting with something like that that doesn't have the reach that even something like Rick and Morty did. Has, this very passionate fan base. And I think it's one of the things that really marked cosplay isn't as something everybody seemed back in 2016, 17, it sometimes felt like everybody was cosplaying at cons. And that's been dialed back a bit since then. I think partially because more and more, as fandoms for things like Marvel or Marvel became even more mainstream than they already were, you had people just resorting to goofy t-shirts and stuff instead of cosplaying. You didn't have the same kind of passion. You didn't have as many really passionate fans showing up, it felt like.
Okay.
Who would do cosplays.
No, cosplay is expensive.
It doesn't have to be.
Look, my Captain N, probably $100 worth of kit. The jacket, $35, $25.
I don't deny that it often takes a little money to do cosplay. That you'll look for bargains, or that you build your costume over time, that you improve it with time. That's common. Which means you need the goofy t-shirts until you have your big mech suit. Well, I don't necessarily think the people who are just happy to have a T-shirt or a branded Loungefly backpack are trying to work their way up to that sort of thing. But
well, what I'm saying is I don't question the passion, because I really think, like, no, this is where you say passion, and that's where it's like, I'm advertising my obsession, is kind of what I'm gonna swing back at. Like,
I don't think it's so much an obsession as something you care about.
Right.
That has affected you that deeply that you really want to live it out.
But I don't know. I would say that's a personality or perhaps a mental state. I don't think that necessarily questions your passion. When I proudly said, John can't keep track of Star Wars and he's playing too many sports. John is our nephew. That's what I mean. Like, hey, I am. Why do I need to get cosplay when I got all my tattoos? Another tattoo. Another tattoo. Check out my cool Boba Fett. He's playing clarinet. Sorry.
But what strikes me is that what we are seeing of the stuff that is getting cosplayed now is stuff. I feel like we're seeing more niche cosplays now. We're not. I've gone to this whole convention and I haven't seen anybody do Superman or Batman. I've seen plenty of the Batman.
I've seen
Rogues Gallery.
I've seen plenty of Batman today, plenty of Harley Quinns, plenty of Jokers. Well, I only saw one Kite Man, and he's getting his own TV show. Better represent Kite Man. Hell yeah.
What I was going to say was I haven't seen anybody actually cosplaying Batman or Superman.
Well, as I say, I saw plenty of Batman. And plenty of Nightwings who just didn't have the ass to pull it off. That's the most important thing about Nightwing now, is you gotta have the ass.
You have to be... It's not a very inclusive way of looking at things. Cosplay is supposed to be for everyone. And I do think it's one of the more interesting things about cosplay.
You could at least put a fake butt in.
As it becomes more inclusive of race or body shape or
I don't know.
Gender. It's interesting that what kind of characters are showing up or that seem to get a lot of representation.
Well, I would bet. Go ahead.
But also that we're not seeing as many mainstream superheroes showing up, but we're seeing more anime and especially gaming related ones. And and with gaming that can be anything from Halo. So we're seeing a lot of Halo helmets this year.
There's a lot of helmets, but not a lot of cosplay, in all honesty. I think nobody's armoring themselves up. Everybody can buy a cosplay helmet.
That's the thing. That with cosplay you don't have to go completely screen accurate. Like when I do this Belle dress that I got on sale at Hot Topic that I just happened upon one day and it was on sale. And I've been using that, and I've been trying to plus it up in various ways with stuff like gloves, which I found getting the proper gloves doesn't really work if you're not going to just show off your outfit at a convention, I found. So I'm going to have to rethink that part of the costume, but because it is more casual look anyway, I can do more with it.
Wow.
So I've noticed we've still got lots of Disney cosplay, particularly with women. And we've had lots of probably the most recent stuff that I think got represented. And this would also apply to stuff like the artist alleys and stuff that we haven't had a lot of recent really big hits. I'm not seeing like the newer Marvel movie characters represented.
I saw plenty of Black Widows. I mean,
well, Black Widow that's
Black Widow
recent.
From the Black Widow movie. Let's get ScarJo all her respect, thank you.
We've seen.
I think you're. Honestly, I think you got blinders on a little bit, and I think you're just trying to feed that comic book movies are over argument.
Well, it's hard not to notice when a trend is changing.
I really don't. No, when you say that, I say no. I think it is actually hard to notice because, look, I was New Kids on the Block fan a year too late, and I was still fighting for it. There are people who are going to be fighting for it, and people who are like, well, when it comes to, and just to back up, when it comes to the cosplay stuff, like Nerdlesque, that, as I say, bodies don't matter, is what I learned tonight. But they're also performing. Like, if you don't have an act to back up, I don't want to see a 50-year-old woman pushing one of those walkers with the wheels, doing the Lilu in the bandages from Fifth Element. Like, somebody's got to say, hey.
No, this is something that conventions have been trying to push back at, is this kind of exclusionary approach. I once saw I've seen people get harassed over not going far enough with the cosplay.
No, it's not about not going far enough. There's some cosplay you shouldn't try. Like, if you can't figure a way to make it yours, if you're just gonna do, I'm gonna be as skimpy as Mila Jovovich despite my tits are at my knees. Yeah, I think somebody should have told you beforehand. And again, going back to my wrestling, I got myself down 50 pounds in my prime, and doesn't matter. So I'd be around 160 pounds, and I'm still all balls and belly, according to my trainer, Danny Daniels. Like, 150 pounds, and I'm balls and belly. Like, so, Russ, put the straps up. That's just, that is just something, like, I think it's, I'm more focused, I guess, on the performance element of cosplay than just wearing a jersey. Like, I will not wear a Chicago Cubs jersey with a Cubs hat, because I am not worthy of the Chicago Cubs, despite officially I was a member of the franchise for 24 hours in a great 15-inning ball game. Yeah, Andre Dawson gets the final hit against the Cardinals. Mom loved that day. I think you loved that day too.
Not really.
Hey, you got your stadium food.
You're lucky I had that book with me.
So,
I mean, I was happy for you, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is that I'm just trying to see how I see it, that we're not seeing, not everybody feels passionate enough about something to cosplay, and that's okay. It is interesting what people do feel that passionate about, that it's not just Star Wars, though there seemed to have been a major uptick in the Star Wars cosplay this year, which is not unwelcome. Not a lot of nice variety to it. But
I'm not here to see trends.
I find that interesting. We had plenty of Star Trek this year.
Not enough Lower Deck stuff.
But
a little more blue paint, people. A little more blue paint.
We've also been we had almost surprising number of Doctor Who people on Friday for the meetup. Because there was a lot of Doctor Who yesterday. And it was more than I expected, given that the meetup was relatively early in the show. It was at 1 p.m. But we had a lot of great looking cosplays, including we had multiple people doing the 15th Doctor.
Yeah, but
this is one of those cases where, people are excited enough that they're just jumping on the preview footage and getting stuff up and going.
Yeah, but you were talking about after, with the exception of your 7s, all you really had was Tom Bakers and newer Doctors.
Yes, that's understandable because cons do kind of skew young, and not every fan who gets into a lot of fans are introduced by the new series, and they find the older series a bit slowly paced. David was explaining that to someone at a booth who wasn't familiar with the old series, and explaining how the pacing worked and stuff, and coming up with some recommendations for stories to start with if they want to check it out now that the original series is more widely available on services like Pluto TV or Tubi. But I'm also thinking about the stuff that doesn't get represented that you'd think would be. Because I've seen tons of Disney cosplayers, and I really thought there were going to be people doing stuff like Elemental or especially Wish, and I just haven't seen them yet. We still got tomorrow, granted. But when I'm seeing that people are coming as deeper cut characters like Prince John from Robin Hood, or we had Linguini from Ratatouille.
Well, here, I guess, in defense of the Disney newer stuff that you seem to, again, I think it's a blinder. Maybe Wish did what it was supposed to. Ooh, 100 years of Disney. Think about this guy. Hey, this guy, this guy, this guy. Yeah, let's think about those guys. And you can go and take your victory lap. How much better those things were. Thank you for reminding us, Wish.
But that's...
I'm just being facetious there. But.
Well, that's what... I think that's the issue, being facetious.
Well, I've got two seasons, at least 2 seasons of Rick and Morty, and 3 seasons of Hannibal to watch before I'm going to get around to Wish. But I'm still pumped for Wish. So. But
I was thinking about how with Disney cosplayers, especially women, they jump on any new characters. They tend to jump on the newer characters. Used to jump on the new characters right away. Like there were.
Well, keep in mind, cons are...
The 2017 show was just a few weeks after the Beauty and the Beast remake came out. But there were some amazing cosplays for that were already set to go by then.
Well, but keep in mind, like, big fluffy dresses is something easy to pull off, or just commoner folk stuff. And yes, we need cosplay to be more inclusive. Got a picture of a black Mega Man. Of course, he was Mega Man from the Network series, so that's not my Mega Man. Not because of his color, just because that's not Mega Man's suit. That's not even X's suit.
And I'm just thinking that what's getting represented in terms of what movies or TV shows are getting represented, and is increasingly more of a barometer of what really affects people and what makes them happy, especially people who like to dress up as stuff they clearly enjoyed as kids or were probably introduced to at a young age. One of the cosplays I saw today that was getting a lot of attention on the floor, people asking for photos, was Dick Van Dyke and Sally Ann Howes in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, specifically the climax of the movie where they're impersonating the Music Box Dolls. And these were these 2 amazing cosplays, and they were getting tons of photo requests.
You see, I know, I didn't see that. Anyway, I didn't see that. But then you're saying, well, no, Has-Been Hotel is kind of just going to be a flash in the pan thing.
I'm not saying it's a flash in the pan.
Well, you said it was overrepresented, and I think how you're arguing says nothing can be overrepresented. I was just underrepresented it.
If I said overrepresented, it's in terms of how new it is. It almost seems like jumping the gun, but I know it's very clear that what it really is the people care about it that much.
Well, but
you usually don't see this happen that quickly.
Well,
and to be fair, it's not really an overnight success if you look up the history of the show.
Well, no, it's a product of the pandemic, if anything. I mean, the pilot came out, and obviously you couldn't make the show
right
until you had time. You could get the resources together.
But the really recent stuff that's getting represented does feel a little more niche than Superman or Batman. Like, some people were showing off their AMC Dune popcorn buckets, the little sandworm buckets.
Well, that's something they're probably going to try to sell at the next con. At the next con, I think there's a con called Next Con, but that was just me.
And I was looking at what was getting the cosplay meetups, and I think they had a Has-Been Hotel meetup. And we had the Doctor Who meetup. There was a Studio Ghibli character meetup today. There was... They've been doing all sorts of video games were getting represented. But what's surprising me, and there's going to be a big Disney meetup tomorrow, and I'm really interested to see how many people turn out for that, given everybody... Seems all the Disney cosplayers have already come through. But at the same time, they're not having meetups for Star Wars. They're not having meetups for Marvel. They're not doing Star Trek this year or DC. And that's surprising because I'm sure there would have been a good turnout for any of those.
Well, they're
doing a Dune cosplay meetup tomorrow.
Well, here's what I think. This is like, I think there might be an oversaturation of cons because they said that during the Nerdlesque show. How many people from Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa, Indiana? You guys skip PopCon to come here, which I think is really killing the vendors. Like, I expect 2 bootleg Ultra Sabers. There's only one. And I remember when they had there was guys, at least 2 vendors having Apple Watch bands.
And David and I noticed,
where's my contact lens guy that I never had the nerve to grab?
Well, my boyfriend and I noticed that, Fan Expo hasn't had the sheer number of vendors that it had pre-pandemic at the last few shows. I'm wondering that given that Fan Expo this August is only going to be a 3-day show, and they're already lining up a pretty impressive lineup of guests.
Yeah, I think that's more of...
That maybe we'll see more vendors then, that it's easier to come in for a 3-day show than a 4-day one.
I think a lot of that may have been the change in ownership.
Well, I'm sure part of that might have been a factor, too, and as I was trying to explain, I think the pandemic did really have a reshuffling of these smaller businesses, especially that do the con scene. Same with the artist alleys.
Well,
the artist alleys have a real churn going for them at this point in terms of you don't see quite as many relative regulars.
Well, I think that is more of an affordability thing by this point.
Well, that's another reason I'm thinking we might see more this year because it's only a 3-day event instead of having to come in for 4 days.
Yeah, they're going to still charge you 4 days price, Rory.
How do you know?
Because capitalism, which there were people bitching at the Hannibal. What? Why can't we go up there? Why is there VIP? That's why we're communists. It's like, okay, one, you're not a good communist. Like, people deserve to have luxuries, and a good communist would understand, well, if that's where you want to spend your money, that's cool.
Well, going back to what's getting the meetups this year and what isn't, I'm thinking maybe it is reflecting a fatigue with some of these series. The people do want to check out some new things and get passionate about those.
Well, here's the entire thing with meetups. Like, I am pissed there wasn't, like, practical meetups. Like, I met Nick from In Love with Movies at a content creator meetup.
Right.
And we didn't have anything like that this year. That's the kind of stuff it's like...
No, I know what you're talking about because it's not like how some of the older meetups would allow space for people to sit down and talk to each other like the Doctor Who meetups would. And right now it's more focused on cosplay and everybody getting pictures of each other and mingling like that.
Well, but
which is fine.
Well, here's the thing with meetups though. I think that is for, like, like there are times where I feel alone in a crowd. I get really depressed at cons.
Oh,
Because I'm not a social person. I'm here on my own. I'm here to enjoy the content, and then I'm left with, when you don't give me panels, and don't give me the chance where, oh yes, I'm gonna fit in and interact, like, because I'm going for my content, my own content. Yeah, I can get really depressed, and it's just being on the floor, like, so it's kind of like I think these meetups, like for cosplay and what have you, I think a lot of that is for people who, this is their chance to be social.
Yeah.
Okay, like, I'm not looking to be social. I'm looking for the goods.
But I don't know what you mean by the goods. I
I'm
would
looking
think
for-
having this safe opportunity to socialize.
Yeah, but I don't. But as I'm saying, like, I am somebody who just just goes with the flow, and yeah, that might be a curse to me that I'm not going for trying to. I'm just going to sound rude, going for the nerd tank. No, because those aren't. These aren't. That's not how I meet people. I just I let the chips fall where they may, and I could have and I know you had a horrible time just trying to find a place for yourself and feel belonging.
Oh, it wasn't so much. It wasn't really that.
Well,
it was great to
when everybody
get back into the con scene.
Well, no, it's
about
not about
10 years ago.
No, it's not about the cons. It was about how you grew up. You were treated like shit. You graduated a year early, which prevented me from getting like, all right, this freshman's pumped and is going to get vengeance for the big sister. Damn right. Hell yeah.
But that's one of the nice things about the con scene.
Well, I know.
That socializing isn't something that's forced upon you necessarily.
Right, but then it just, for me, it doesn't feel like people are being real, unless you're gonna go and like, hey, it's if I'm very goal driven, and like that's why I go and I like, oh, I'll go see this, but then you go to a Pokemon Go meetup and like people aren't going to help you out get the good cool Pokemon that you just have, get you up to that level 50 like everybody else. No, they're greedy little screw ups. Sorry, my Pokemon Go base, Vicky and Nick, please don't unfriend me. They're my trivia partners on a shrug emoji. I'm just saying it like, it's just very, I want, like, what I want again is freaking nerd speed dating, like where people have to get uncomfortable and have to be real with each other instead of, why do we need speed dating when we just get all the Ghibli fans in the same room? Did Hilton, Hyatt, and Marriott say, yeah, it's really tough on the housekeeping, the orgies that are going on? Could you dial that back just a bit? I mean, that's I guess what I need. I just need a sign looking for the nerd orgies, and then I'm gonna get kicked out. Be read the cosplay. Hey, I'm just looking. I'm not instigating nerd orgies. So I guess it's kind of for me, like, and this is the big difference. Like, yours, as I say, I think you have blinders on some cosplay, and like, I'm just there because it's content that I like. I mean, people suck in general. Except if you want to be a guest on the show, send an email to rustbus07@gmail.com. It is anime. So if you got... I'm finally trying to get Perfect Blue on the podcast. I think I might got a connection on Blue Sky until they listen to this one and like, hey, this guy doesn't like people. This guy bought the T-Turtle shirt of the cat saying, hey, how about use common sense? When I really wanted the T-Turtle cat that was saying, that has the middle finger out, middle paw out, saying, I'm an effing delight. But I own way too many black T-shirts. So that's, yeah, so I think that sums up nerd culture in general today on 90 for Chill, the podcast with CatBusRuss and his, yes, The Poetic Critic. That's The Poetic Critic on Letterboxd. I may have learned something from that voice acting 101, which I thought was solely self-promotion. And we'll see how good she's at promoting, because I did tag her on Twitter. So I guess it's tomorrow, last day. Josh Brolin's out, so their big room thing is screwed. Which is one of those, like...
Well, you know, this happens. I remember... We've had disappointments before. I've tried a few times to meet Matt Smith at a con, and 3 times now, and he flaked every time.
Yeah, I no, that's what I'm getting at.
Which is simply that he was busy with, got busy with other things, and that's understandable. But, you know, you have to steel yourselves for these disappointments.
Well, I guess me being somebody who has not called in sick and has blown out his back, I will come to work, and I'm not going home until I get caught throwing up.
Presenteeism is a real issue.
Thanos doesn't get sick. Live the gimmick. I mean, granted, I don't particularly care for the early morning things, because usually you're in a it just doesn't feel real, because you're usually going to be in the overflow room. Mm-hmm. Because how the hell do they do this in an orderly fashion? Get there at 10 a.m. and then be full at 10 a.m. Security isn't that good, and it's pretty lax this year, honestly. I'm carrying around 2 fake firearms, and well, Nintendo Zapper is not really not really something, but you know, they can tell that I got a foam Helsing 50 caliber, probably close to 60. I gotta rewatch that show. So see, no time for Wish yet. But you know, so no Josh Brolin. I'm interested in the Maya Hawke. After watching The Kill Room, where Uma gave her kid a character in it. Like the Ted Lasso stuff, I've never watched the show, and unless you got Jason Sudeikis, I'm not going to be able to really relate to it. So I'm going to skip that for Channel Awesome, and I'm trying to come up with a movie to argue. I really think I could just cause a riot again with Jurassic Park. Hey, new crowd! But I think they know my shit. But really, Jurassic Park, very overrated. This pretty much set the standard for, as Jeff Goldblum said it, you were so concerned about whether you could do it, you didn't stop and think if you should. And now you're merchandising.
But I think you're expanding that. You're letting the franchise speak for one movie.
No!
I agree that people have joked that eventually the franchise did get overextended and they put in the cereal box and everything. But I think the original film is still pretty tight.
Westworld is a lot better.
Well, yes, you can say you prefer that movie. That doesn't necessarily mean...
Like Spielberg did it right with Jaws. Yeah, let's go and eat a kid. I mean, Yeah, one child. Can I get one dead child in a Jurassic Park movie? Maybe I'm back.
Yeah, I can't make that panel because Richard White, who's the voice guest on the original Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, I saw he's doing that one.
Yeah, Paige O'Hara was supposed to be there too.
Right.
But it's not a huge loss because I met her, and she did a very good panel at Fan Expo a few years ago.
Well, did she? So you didn't check out the Tara Strong? Paige O. No, sorry, that was Tara Strong and Jodie Benson, right?
I did see the Jodie Benson panel last year.
Well, I thought they did one with Tara Strong together because of, hey, people remember Little Mermaid too.
I don't remember.
Well, I know there were. I know
went
there
to
were
the solo panel.
Well, I know there were, and I went to the solo Tara Strong. Does Jodie Benson do any other voices besides the robot from Flubber and Ariel?
She was Barbie in the Toy Story movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She had some pretty great stories at her panel about the other stuff she's done.
Right. No,
like
she did
Joseph
Barbie
King of Dreams, Thumbelina.
Okay.
She's been a very prolific voice actress
there was
over the years.
Speaking of the recently 78-year-old Tim Curry, there was a Nerdlesque act with a woman inspired by Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah.
Where they did Toxic Love.
You see, I can see that.
But again, it's about the performance. You wanna dress up like Leela? Do a backflip. Or at least give me the kung fu bits. But again, with 90 for Chill after C2E2, Day 3 will drop on Wednesday, the 1st. Again, it is anime. So, suggest those. Like, I am willing to do TV shows, because I remember back in the day buying VHS tapes and, like, just hoping. Ooh, 80 minutes. There's going to be 4 episodes. So, I'm very open on how to get this done. I don't know if I could do Bell, because that's still 2 hours 15. But we got most Satoshi Kon, and there's some Makoto Shinkai, and since there's some Makoto Shinkai, we can figure a way to do all Makoto Shinkai. So there's always a way. So send an email to russthebus07@gmail.com. That's RUSSTHEBUS07@gmail.com, or hit me up on my social medias. That's at CatBusRuss.bsky.com or at Russ Stevens at Mastodon.social, and of course there is CatBusRuss on Twitter. And if you want to follow me on Letterboxd, I have been kind of slacking because I've been doing the Rewind Wednesdays every other week until my laptop died. You can follow what I'm watching and maybe predict what the next episode is going to be with my Letterboxd, and that's still back from the good old days where Chris Hardwick advertised me as Cool Movies Darth. So CM Darth is the username there. C is in cool, M is in movies, Darth is in Sith Lord. Thank you, Stacia Harden, for keeping an eye on me. Sorry if you feel betrayed about me going to drunken sing-alongs and partaking in the booze. I was preaching sobriety last night, but hey, I'm trying, and I appreciate your patience with me, and I hope you're helping out everybody else you touched in your life, and keep squeezing the ectoplasm out of Skimbleshanks, the one-eared angel. With that, got anything to add?
No.
Alrighty. So, what's the cosplay tomorrow? Because this.
Well, I'm doing Belle again because the Disney meetup and everything. I'm gonna try maybe get Richard White's autograph if I can.
Oh, okay. You're gonna be asking did you see Wish to a lot of people, aren't you?
No, I just think that would just be gauche. I think that if there were more people who saw it, there'd be more cosplay. Just because Disney fans are among the most.
Look, if you're gonna do Alan Tudyk, you're gonna do Joker right now. What I want is some Clayface. Honestly, my Clayface is always going to be Ron Perlman.
I think I saw Harley Quinn.
So I think I had concluded with the final, formalities. Thank you, Stacey Harden, for keeping an eye on me and everybody else you touch in your life, and keep squeezing the Edward Love and ectoplasm out of Skimbleshanks. And thank you, Allie Higgins, for checking on Ava, the Queen Kitty. Hope you liked your book, or hope you took your book. If you give a kitty a cocktail, it's a brown kitty, but I thought it looked a little like her cat that she wouldn't like. You know what? Yes, screw Skimbleshanks. We should have had Lucy at some point. No, just kidding around. Yep, be on the show. russbus07@gmail.com. RUSSTHEBUS07@gmail.com. Let's focus on Japanese animation this month. Follow me on Twitter, CatBusRuss. Follow me on Blue Sky at catbusruss.bsky.com, and Mastodon at Russ Stevens at Mastodon.social. The Poetic Critic is on Letterboxd, The Poetic Critic. That's The Poetic Critic, all one word. And yeah, thanks for checking out this episode. I did not plan on it being an hour, but you can't shut certain people up. I mean that in the nicest way. So, thanks for listening to the 90 for Chill, the podcast with CatBusRuss, and can I get a woohoo?